Scientists are now beginning to speak of an infinite number of universes, each with their own beings and existence, many of which are very closely related to and possibly interacting with the universe within which we live. Separately, we are beginning to appreciate that our limited field of perception does not encompass all possible ranges of existence, and that there are living beings that exist in ranges below or above those we can ourselves directly experience. In our own experience, through the development of powerful microscopes, for instance, we were able to observe living bacteria, which a few short centuries ago were not even recognized as a reality in our world. These are entities which reside in the same world with us, have impacts on our health and well being, and yet have been invisible to us until the recent development of new observational tools. What other entities reside in our world that are invisible to us? We cannot yet say. As we open up to these points, it becomes obvious to us that there are other worlds, domains, or planes of existence occupied by living beings. Many people have had the experience of something they considered to be unusual or even supernatural, such as the action of ghosts, poltergeists, specters, gods, angels, or demons, etc. We do not have a perfect understanding of these things, so we either try to dismiss them out of hand or call them some kind of illusion, hallucination, or subterfuge. Yet the experiences are so widespread and pervasive, stretching across time and distance around the globe, that it is impossible to close our eyes to the existence of such things, whatever we may call them, and however we may want to interpret them. In Hamlet, Shakespeare's lead character expressed something of this when he advised his friend Horatio that he had met with the ghost of his father and been instructed by that ghost about the method of his demise. He noted to Horatio that many things exist beyond the frame of the knowledge and methodologies of the time. Human beings act as hostile forces to many beings in the world, while we act as beneficent beings towards a number of others. We can observe now that bacteria, for instance, can cause disease, or can symbiotically support us when certain types of bacteria populate our intestines and aid us in digesting our food. We can thus easily appreciate that other beings or entities may influence ourselves and our world, and may play either a positive or a negative role in our lives. People have also experienced entering into other domains, planes, or worlds, and acting and interacting in those regions. Clearly, the worlds that are most closely aligned with our own create opportunities for conscious beings to move in either direction and interact in those alternative domains. The mother writes, quote, "Last week, I spoke of the threshold of occultism. So a question is put to me about this occult world, that is to say, the world invisible to ordinary physical eyes, and I am asked for explanations or comments on the beings who live in those worlds, which are invisible to ordinary eyes. I am even told that I speak very often of negative entities, that is to say, of hostile formations, of small beings formed from the disintegration of human beings after their death, the disintegration of the vital or mental being at death, but that I have never spoken of the great beings, the magnificent beings, or positive entities which help the evolution. I believe I have spoken to you about these quite often, but still I have been asked once again for explanations. Well, the occult world is not one single region where everything is mixed, which only becomes occult because we can't see it. The occult world is a gradation of regions. One could perhaps say of more and more ethereal or subtle regions. Anyway, those farther and farther removed in their nature from the physical materiality we ordinarily see. And each one of these domains is a world in itself, having its forms and inhabited by beings with a density, one might say, analogous to that of the domain in which they live. Just as in the physical world, we are of the same materiality as the physical world, so in the vital world, in the mental world, in the overmind world, and in the supramental world, and in many others, infinite others, there are beings which have a form whose substance is similar to the one of that world. This means that if you are able to enter consciously into that world with the part of your being which corresponds to that domain, you can move there quite objectively, as in the material world. End quote. Reference Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, The Hidden Forces of Life, Chapter 5, Occult Forces, pages 108 to 109.